Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast and YouTube channel. Lauren is going to stop by today and educate us on a music topic. Everybody seems to know about music parody when it's a direct comedic version of someone else's exact song, but there's also something in that vein of comedy music called Pastiche. Lauren's going to slide in and tell us all about it coming right up. Hey everybody, it's Lauren, and not only does she bring her underrated songs and her favorite artists and so on to the channel, she also brings a little bit of music education here and again, which we can all use, and she is going to tell us about, you've talked a lot about Weird Al on the channel, and most people know Weird Al for parody, but they don't know much about what is called pastiche. So first of all, tell us what pastiche is, and then there are more examples than just Weird Al doing it, right?
Yeah, believe it or not. So pastiche is what a lot of people will refer to as a style parody. So it's a parody of the style of a different artist or genre.
And that's what I called it for years.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an actual term.
Yeah, it's a word.
For it. I would always say to people, there's this Weird Al song and it's a style parody. He's kind of doing Foo Fighters, but not really. And so, but it's easier to have the one word to describe it. So when you're not doing, in the realm of Weird Al, you're going to give us other examples. But in the realm of Weird Al, Eat It would be a parody.
Yes.
Because that's a direct comical version of an exact song, whereas, give us an example of a Weird Al song that would be a pastiche.
Sure, yeah. So one of my favorites is Craigslist from his Alpocalypse album, and it's a pastiche of The Doors, and it is probably the most perfect Doors song that isn't a Doors song.
I always say that to people when I describe Craigslist by Weird Al. I'm always like, it's every Doors song ever in one song. It's wonderful.
And Ray Manzarek actually played on the track. It's one of the last things he did before he passed away.
That is, you always hear when people talk about Weird Al, they always say that artists say you haven't made it to Weird Al. Like, the artists who actually get involved and play on the tracks has got to be a thrilling thing for him, I would think.
For sure.
So that's one example, but Weird Al has a ton more. But other than that, though, there are a lot of artists who have done that type of thing that I don't think people really think about.
Yeah.
So Lauren brought some examples to share with us.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing I want to make sure is clear that, parody is one of those things that's inherently funny. Pastiche can be funny, but isn't always. Pastiche is just borrowing from another style. And one of the biggest pastiches that pops into my mind when I think about it is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. It's a pastiche of opera, and it's from A Night at the Opera.
Right.
And what this song does is it's a mini opera, and it's doing exactly what an opera does. You have the different movements, you have the different characters, and you have like really garbled up Italian.
Right. So I feel like that's a good example because it absolutely is a nod to what they're paying tribute to. They're in no way making fun of. I don't think Freddie sat down and thought like, oh, opera, I'm going to make fun of opera. Like, he's very much doing a song in the style of.
Right.
What else do you got?
So people don't think about this all the time, but the Beatles borrowed a lot. I guess people probably think about that more than I think they do. But the Beatles borrowed a lot, and the one that really is a pastiche is "Happiness Is a Warm Gun" from the White Album. Again, much like Bohemian Rhapsody, it's a song with acts, but I'm talking specifically about the third act of this song. It's the bang, bang, shoot, shoot, happiness is a warm gun.
Oh, well, copyright strikes. Go on.
Sorry, I'm just too good.
Right.
No, that's a parody of, a pastiche rather, of like doo-wop.
Okay. And what's funny about that is that I would assume most people, like you said, there's stages of that song, phases, and I bet most people wouldn't even think of that by the time that you get to that.
Yeah.
So we've knocked out a couple now. You got a couple more for us?
Yeah. One that I think confuses people, especially in the Wild West days of early music streaming, was this song was often misattributed to the artist that it was a pastiche of. And I'm talking about Stuck in the Middle with You by Steelers.
Oh, yeah. And by early streaming days, you mean when Napster?
Yes.
When every person on Napster listed Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So back then, people would list Steelers Wheel, Stuck in the Middle with You to
Bob Dylan.
Dylan.
Yeah. And this is one of those pastiche songs that, like, vocally, he's trying to sound.
Oh,
like
he's doing
Bob
Dylan.
He's
Yeah,
doing Dylan.
He's doing Dylan.
And lyrically too, it's very much that like paranoid Dylan thing, like clowns to the left of me, Joker to the right.
Right.
Like, oh no, what's going on?
Yeah. I never even thought about that literally until this moment. That I know vocally he's doing Dylan, but I didn't even think about the lyrics being.
Yeah.
So that's even one that I could see someone misconstruing on streaming and just being like, well, that's Dylan.
Yep.
Yeah. You got one more for us?
I do, and this was difficult because the entire album that this comes off of is Pastiche. It's paying tribute to music, different styles of music, but I decided to go with the one that is the most obvious, and it's Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. And that's a pastiche of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Billy literally sat down and said, I'm going to write a Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons song. And
yeah. And then he did.
And then he did.
And then he did.
He sung it that way.
Right. I love that example as well. I think there were a lot of people, at least I remember when Uptown Girl was new, that didn't even know of Billy Joel at the time. And they were just like, oh, this is what he does.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Yep.
No.
Nope, not even close. There are so many people that this is the only Billy Joel song that they like.
Yeah, for sure. Which it's a great song too,
Yeah.
though. So it's like with me being a Floyd fan, if somebody only loves like Brick in the Wall or Comfortably Numb, I'm always like, yeah, well, I'm still not mad at that.
Right.
Great song. So as we always say in these videos, though, well, first of all, make sure to hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video, please. Second of all, like I say, Lauren brings something unique to the channel because she is not only sharing a lot of hidden gems and that stuff, but she's also trying to help share like some music education and whatnot. So drop a comment on the video if you didn't know this. Like a lot of this was hard for me to put into words, so I'm glad she did. But also, what are some other examples you can think of that maybe we didn't mention in this video? Because there's a ton out there. Again, I always think of a Weird Al because when I was a kid, that's who I first heard do it. But there are so many other examples of people doing that type of, like I used to call it style parody, but it's really
Pastiche.
pastiche. As we always say in these videos, thank you so much for watching.